Hello, good morning. Welcome to today's Maternal and Child Health Clinic. My name is Dr. Chudi Ufondu of Snowspirations Global Health Solutions. Thank you so much and welcome to today's event. Today's event is very important to all women in our group, especially if you're believing God to be a mother in 2022. Today's topic is going to impact everybody. So we're talking about ovarian reserve test and your fertility chances. This is a very important topic for all women, especially if you're still in your reproductive phase and you want to be a mother in 2022. This topic is very, very important. Now, before I start, it's important we understand what the group represents. Our group is out here to help. All the information we pass out, it's advisory information. We don't impose our teachings, we don't impose our recommendations, we don't impose our advice on you. But we teach you the current practices, evidence-based practices, reality-based, scientifically backed practices. Now, I understand majority of us are Christians. I'm a Christian. Now, we also have Muslims. We also have people that don't even believe in God. But we have a commonality. We want to be parents. We want to be mothers. We want to be fathers. So when you come to our group, remember there are people that might not believe in what you believe in. Remember that people are wired differently. Remember that people are coming from different perspectives. So we try as much as possible to tame our Christian overreach, to tame our Muslim overreach, and we come together to reason with our reality. So I needed to make this clear because sometimes when I show up and I tell you guys exactly what I know as a doctor, from scientific point of view, it might not really all go well with what you believe, and you might not really understand it, and you might not also, believe or you agree with me, but that's okay. But remember, as humans, we have limitations. So whatever I'm telling you is based on what we know today that works. So it's important that when you're coming in, you come with an open mind. If you come with an open mind, we can fill your mind. You can go back and practice and you can become. It's my ultimate belief that every single one of us is a mother, is a father. What we are going through is delay. There is a difference between delay and denial, but we have to face our reality. And one of our realities is the fact that we are going to age. We are not going to be young forever. Especially for women, age is very important. Matter of fact, in all ramifications, the most important factor that will make you a mother or will not make you a mother is your age. Your age is the most important factor. So I needed to make this clear before I start. Today, we are talking about ovarian egg reserve test. There are a couple of tests which is expected of every woman who is planning to become pregnant. Those tests will give us an inkling about your chances of becoming a mother successfully. Now, regardless of your age, you can be a mother. But how you become a mother is based on your chances at your age. So every woman can be a mother based on their options, based on their chances at their age. So when you come in this afternoon, if you know anybody that will benefit, someone you love so much, or someone you've been trying to help, just send them a link of this channel. Ask them to join our YouTube, our Instagram, Facebook. We have our page, we have our group. Once you come in and you open your mind, you're gonna get help. I can guarantee you this. If there is anything I can guarantee you about, you're gonna be a mother in 2022. Nobody can stop you. Now, please, we are going to start there. I want to know who you are. So tell me your name, tell me your location. Remember to focus on my admin. Now, today is the last Sunday before our big event next Sunday. If you are having ovulation problems, if you don't understand the concept of ovulation properly, if they've told you you are not ovulating and you're wondering if you can still be a mother, you don't want to miss the boot camp. Our boot camp is going to be fully loaded. So when you're coming, you come expecting, and by the grace of God, we are all going to understand it better and become who God says we'll become. So today, without wasting much time, we're going to use this. So ovarian egg reserve, we're going to look at the functions of the ovaries. So when we talk about ovarian egg reserve, we're actually referring to the ovaries. So your two ovaries, they have your eggs. The complete set of the eggs you will use to start your family, they are resident in your two ovaries. Your boys, your girls, your twins, your triplets, your quadruplets, they are all here in your body. Every singular one of them. You cannot run away from them. So this is a constant reminder that you're going to be a mother. Now, if anything happens to any part of your body but preserves your ovaries, you can still be a mother. So if your vagina for some reason got damaged and we remove your vagina, we remove your cervix, we remove your womb, we remove your tubes, but we keep your ovaries, can you still be a mother? 100%. So the determining factor that will make you a mother is your ovaries. Once you have your ovaries, you are a mother. There are some women, unfortunately, that had problems. Probably they had cancer of the vagina, cancer of the cervix or the womb, and we have to do what we call total hysterectomy with the surrounding structures. That means we remove the whole womb. If we spare your ovaries, you can be a mother. So it's important. So this afternoon, we're going to look at the test, the various tests we can use to know your ability, your chances, what is remaining of you, what you need to do to actualize your intentions of becoming a mother. This is what we are going to do, and I'm going to take time to discuss it so you will understand it. If you don't understand your ovarian egg reserve test and your fertility chances after this, then I don't know how else to explain it. So I'm actually going to start, okay? So when you come in, just make sure everybody, you can see everybody, and you tell us your location. If you need help, my admin is going to stand by. If you're tuning from Facebook, if you're in YouTube, thank you and welcome. I'm actually starting now, okay? So let's start. Okay. Okay, so today it's Sunday, and we're talking about ovarian reserve test and your chances of fertility. Now, your ovarian reserve test can help show a woman's fertility potentials. So your fertility potential is actually what is called the ovarian reserve. So how many of the eggs are remaining in your ovaries? And of the quantity remaining, how many of them have good quality? So we are actually looking more about the quality. So the ability to have a baby decreases as you are getting older. This is constant for all women. However, the exact age when a woman can no longer conceive can vary from woman to woman, including your twin sister. So your twin sister can go into menopause before you, or you can go into menopause before your sister. So no two women can have exactly the same makeup. So when people come in and tell you, oh, a 56-year-old lady had a baby and nothing can happen and all that, you cannot compare yourself with any lady. So in some women, they will have poor ovarian reserve early than expected. In some, they will have it later. About 1/3 of couples who are having problems getting pregnant, remember, it's a problem. Your problems are challenges, they are temporal. So about 1/3 of couples who are having problems getting pregnant when the female is above age 35 actually have poor ovarian egg reserve. Now listen to me carefully. The fact you have reduced quality and quantity ovarian egg reserve doesn't mean you can't get pregnant. You can still get pregnant if you do the right things. If you follow the right protocols, you will become pregnant. Now, there are various tests we can use to check your ovarian reserve. Majority of them are blood tests. Number one is FSH test, follicular stimulating hormone test. It's a blood test. We collect your blood and we check that. Number two, estradiol. This is a type of estrogen hormone. We can also use that to check your reserve. Number three, AMH, anti-Mullerian hormone. We can also use that to check your ovarian egg reserve. Number four is actually a specially done ultrasound, which we can use to check your intrafollicular counts. So your follicles are the vehicle that contain your eggs. Number five is Clomid challenge test. So any of these tests can give us an idea of your reserve. So one of the commonest way to check your reserve is by measuring your hormones, the ones I mentioned, your FSH and the estradiol. We normally check them for the beginning of your cycle. It's normally done on day 3. So if you notice, when you're under me, I will tell you to run your test between day 2 to day 5. So you can actually run it from day 1 to day 5. But the best result is received when you target day 3. Remember that your first day of your cycle is when you bleed. So the 3rd day of your bleeding is the best day to check your FSH. Now, these hormones shows important information about the ovaries and the pituitary gland. So the pituitary gland are master glands somewhere in the brain that controls all the gland in the body. So when we are checking the function of the FSH, estradiol, AMH, they are checking the functions of the ovary and the pituitary gland. Your pituitary gland makes the FSH, and your FSH helps the follicles to grow. Your follicle is a small cyst that contains the egg. So usually, when your FSH level is lowest at the beginning of your cycle, it begins to gradually go up as it's developing the follicles. So once the follicles are growing, the level of your FSH will gradually be going up. And as it's going up, the egg is maturing. As this happens, at the same time, the level of estrogen, so estradiol is a type of estrogen. So at the time your FSH level is training the follicles to grow. Now, at the end of the day, by the time you are ovulating, you will have what we call dominant follicle. Dominant follicle is the follicle that contains the egg you will release during your ovulation. So in turn, when you have higher levels of estradiol, it tells the gland to make less FSH. So I want you to understand the relationship between estradiol and FSH. So the controlling mechanism that tells the pituitary gland to either increase or to decrease the production of FSH is what? The estradiol. So if the egg and the follicle starts growing too early because your FSH is rising rapidly, the estradiol is going to be doing what? It's going to be producing faster. If this development is too fast, the eggs will not mature properly. So I want you to follow the logic. So when your estrogen level is, I'm going to use estrogen to make sure I'm not confusing you guys. So remember that estradiol is a type of estrogen, right? Now, when the level of estrogen is going up, it will go to the brain. It will tell the brain, you know what? Stop producing enough FSH. And when you don't have enough FSH, what's going to happen? The eggs are not going to mature properly. So in general, women who cycle day 3 FSH and estradiol are high will have the less likelihood of ovulating. Either you're doing it naturally or you're going for IVF. So when we are asking you to check your FSH and we check your estrogen, we are looking at the level. So women that have higher level of FSH is an indication that they have what? Lower ovarian reserve. So you will find it more difficult becoming pregnant when they tell you that your FSH level is what? It's high. The other test we use in checking your ovarian reserve is the AMH test, the anti-Mullerian hormone. This is another important test we can use to check your ovarian reserve. The follicles are actually the source of your AMH. So the follicles in your ovaries make anti-Mullerian hormones. So the quantity of your AMH is related to the quantity of healthy follicles and eggs. So when your AMH level is checked at any time. So the difference between AMH and FSH and estradiol is the fact that in AMH, we can check it anytime. But when you're checking your FSH and your estrogen level, you are checking it on day 3. But you can check your AMH on day 1 or any other time in your cycle. So when we are checking the level of your AMH, we are correlating it to the number of eggs and the quality of eggs you have. So now you need to be careful. When we are doing any hormonal test, the outcome is dependent on the particular lab you are using. So there might be variation between lab to lab. Like in America here, the ranges they might be different from what they have in UK, from what they have in America. So when you go for a particular test, it's important you use that particular criteria to interpret the results. So this is why when you come in and you tell me, oh, your prolactin level is this number, I want to look at the range to know what is applicable to your lab. It can be very difficult to compare lab results from one laboratory to another. So when your fertility specialist sends you for any test, make sure you go back to that same fertility specialist, because what might be obtainable in Lagos might not be obtainable in Enugu. Very important. So remember, we can use FSH, we can use the estradiol, your ovarian egg result. So the normal expectation is to have normal level of AMH. When your AMH level is reducing, it means your fertility is reducing. When your FSH level is going up, it means your fertility is doing what? It's reducing. We want the AMH level to be normal, and we want the FSH level to be normal. We don't want it to be higher. We don't want it to be lower. Okay? Now, the next test is the clomiphene citrate challenge test. This is a test we use the normal Clomid that you guys take like water. So Clomid, the medical name of Clomid is clomiphene citrate. So in this test, we ask women to take the Clomid to see how the ovaries will respond. Normally, it's given in early menstrual cycle. When we give you Clomid very early in your cycle, probably from day 1, which is the first day you bleed, we measure the level of your FSH and the level of estradiol before. Then afterwards, we now measure the level of your FSH alone. I want you to notice the difference. If we are using the clomiphene citrate challenge test, we will measure the level of FSH before, we'll measure the level of estradiol before. But after you have taken the clomiphene citrate, that's the Clomid, we are now gonna only check the what? The FSH level. Women that have lower pregnancy rates with both ovulation induction and IVF have higher levels of FSH. So when we give you Clomid, and after taking Clomid, when we check your FSH level and it's very high, when you are going for normal pregnancy, whether you're going for ovulation induction therapy or you're going for IVF, the possibility you will have lower pregnancy rate is there. So I want you to pay attention to all my explanations. Now, the next test we can use to check your ovarian result is what we call antra-follicle count. Antra-follicle count. When we are going for antra-follicle count, we are going for transvaginal ultrasound. So transvaginal ultrasound means we are gonna put the ultrasound probe through your vagina. It can be done in early part of your cycle to count the number of the follicles in the ovaries. So the essence of antrafollicular count is to count the follicles. Remember that the follicles are the vehicles that contain the eggs. So the follicles are where the eggs reside. Now, these are called antrafollicles. And the antrafollicles will give us an indication of the number of eggs you might likely have. The number of antrafollicles will tell us how many eggs are available and about your response to gonadotropin medicines. Gonadotropin medicines are drugs and medicines that are artificial, which will mimic from the natural ones. So FSH is a gonadotropin, LH is a gonadotropin. So whenever you hear about LH and FSH, there are examples of gonadotropin medicine. So this test, it's more accurate when it's done by a healthcare provider who is experienced. So all the tests about your result must be done by someone that is experienced. So when we are checking your FSH, we are checking your ovarian result. When we are checking your estradiol level, we are checking your ovarian result. When we are checking your AMH, we are checking your ovarian result. When we are doing intrafollicular count, we are doing the same. When we are giving you Clomid challenge, we are pretty much doing the same. These are important tests we can use to know your ability to become a woman the way God made you. Now, the last test we can use to check your ovarian reserve is actually what I've been telling you guys. The gonadotropins. The gonadotropins are hormone medication. So FSH, follicular stimulating hormone, or LH. Sometimes we give you only LH or in combination with LH, luteinizing hormone. We are giving you this to stimulate the ovaries to grow multiple eggs at once. So if you're going for IVF, most of the drugs we give you in IVF are the gonadotropins. When we are going for IVF, what are we doing? We are telling your ovaries to give us all the eggs, to grow multiple eggs at the same time. They are called superovulation. So when you're going for this, we are giving you injections to prepare the woman for fertility therapy. Now, when you have probability of having higher doses of this medicine, it means your egg development will need more treatment. So older women going for IVF, older women going for fertility treatment will need higher doses of this gonadotropin. So it's expected that when we give you the gonadotropins, your body will respond properly. Women who will require large or larger than expected amounts of gonadotropin generally will have lesser ability to become pregnant. But here is the general rule. Women are wired differently. So a 50-year-old woman might be the outlier. She might make love and naturally she can have a baby naturally. That's called an outlier. An outlier means it might happen in 1 in 1,000. So there is no never and there is no always when it comes to becoming pregnant. But that's unique to that woman. There are some women that naturally have higher fertility index. There are some women that have natural ability to have multiple pregnancy. This is called genetic makeup. So the tests I listed are the important tests you can use to know your ability to predict how you will respond to fertility treatment. Now, what is the bottom line in everything I've been telling you guys? The test I mentioned will try to predict your response to fertility treatment. How likely you are going to get pregnant compared to another woman of the same age. So when you're going for your ovarian reserve test, it's not a final test. It's the measure of likelihood. Abnormal ovarian test results suggest the fertility potential has declined, but it doesn't tell us who will or who will not conceive. Some younger women with normal test result might still have problems conceiving. Some older women with abnormal result can spontaneously become pregnant. So your result might vary from cycle to cycle. However, if any of the tests is generally abnormal, it will affect your potentials generally. So the chance of getting pregnant is primarily related to the quality of the eggs, not the quantity, the quality. So if you have 12 eggs remaining and they are of high quality, you can have about 9/12 chances of becoming pregnant. If you have so many eggs, but they are not of good quality, you might not succeed when you compare to someone that have fewer but more quality eggs. Now, generally, women above age 35 with abnormal test result who have not had successful treatment will have a lower chance of conceiving. Why? When you get to 35, you are classified as what? Advanced in maternal age. It begins to be more difficult. You begin to have more abnormal eggs. You might still have good eggs, but the number of good eggs and the quality of eggs you have is lower compared to women below 35. It doesn't mean you cannot, because so many of you will misquote me. Your ability to become pregnant is based on what God deposited in you. But what we are relating to you is the medical explanation. So these women who are above 35 with poor ovarian reserve are candidates for what? Donor eggs or donor embryo. So if you're in my clinic this afternoon, you're 45. By default, if you are going for IVF at age 45, personally, we normally advise you to go for what? Donor eggs. Now, some women might have the ability to go for donor eggs and also insist on going with their own eggs. But you have a better chance of having a better outcome if you're going for IVF at 45 with donor eggs. Even with normal ovarian reserve tests, some older women might still have difficulty conceiving. So age is the number one determining factor. So you can go for your ovarian reserve test, your FSH is good, your AMH is good, your antral counting is okay, your Clomid challenge is okay, then you are still having problems conceiving. Remember that problems in conception is not only about the woman, it's also about the men. But today we are talking about the women alone. So your age is very important. Now, let me make this point, the number 9 point. No single test of ovarian reserve can predict a woman's ability to get pregnant. This is why we need to do everything. So we need to check your FSH, we need to check your AMH, we need to do the antral count, we need to give you Clomid challenge so we can see comparatively which one will give us a better indices. These tests are often developed as treatment plan, including the need for donor eggs and embryo. So this, in a nutshell, it's what you need to know about ovarian reserve test. To summarize, FSH, estradiol, AMH, antral follicular counting, how you respond to the gonadotropins. These are the tests that will give us an ability to predict how you can respond and how soon you can become a pregnant woman. Okay, so right now I'm done with my presentation. I'm gonna give us an opportunity to ask questions. So right now I'm ready to take care of your questions. Okay, so the clinic is gonna open for questions and answers. Okay, and hopefully I'm gonna share the transcript of my presentation so people understand differently. Some people can understand with my simple explanation, and some people will understand by the time they read and listen to the presentation. So here's the deal. If you are in my union this afternoon, you are above 35. My sister, deal with your reality. You can become a mother, but you need to face your reality. You need help. You need the help of a fertility specialist. You need to go for your IUI. You need to go for your IVF. You need to go for fertility treatment. Whichever one they offer you, please go for them. Don't just stay in one place and be doing the same thing you've been doing over and over again. If you delay, you might end up not being a mother. Not because you couldn't be a mother, but because you did not act on time. I'm talking about women that want to become pregnant. So when you show up in our group, make good use of the information you're given. Go back to your doctor, run it by your doctor, follow the advice. If money is the problem, go and source for money. Because guess what? If you don't have money in 2021 and you didn't start your family, 2022, the possibility you might not have money is there. So money come and go. So make sure you do the right things while you can. Okay, so the clinic is gonna open and I'm gonna take care of your questions. So please ask your questions. Okay, let's see. The clinic is open. Okay, someone is asking about a specialist in Ghana. So when I started my women's health, talk and help in 2015, I used to have a provider in Ghana. Currently, I don't have a provider in Ghana, but hopefully, by the grace of God, we're gonna get a provider in Ghana because we have a lot of lovely Ghanaians, beautiful, amazing Ghanaian clients. So by the grace of God, we will continue looking for a Ghana provider for our clients in Ghana. Okay, guys, let's see what we have. Ask your questions. Okay, let's see. Okay, they told you by your doctor that you have hormone imbalance. Please, without menstrual bleeding, how can you carry out the test? Now, if you haven't bled, depending on how long, if you haven't bled for 12 months, then likelihood you've gone into menopause is high. Now, if you haven't bled for 3 months, it's possible you're having issues here and there. So what you need to do by default, women that are not bleeding should still go to the gynecologist. There are some drugs we can give you to achieve what we call breakthrough bleeding. But guess what? Our focus is not whether you're bleeding or not. That's not our major focus. Our major focus is to make sure you are ovulating. So some women might not be bleeding, but they are ovulating. So our major aim in life for a woman, whether you're bleeding, whether you're not bleeding, we just want to make sure you're ovulating. Because once you ovulate, you're going to become pregnant if every other standard is there. So stop focusing only, oh, I'm bleeding, I'm not bleeding, it's coming, it's not coming. Let's focus on knowing if you are ovulating or not. This is the reason why you need to go for the boot camp. So register today. By Sunday, about this time, we'll be getting ready. I think it's about 9 p.m. Nigerian time. We're going to deconstruct everything about ovulation. Every single information you need to know about ovulation, we're going to talk about it. Okay, guys, please ask your questions. It's time for questions. So let me check and see what I have. Okay. Okay, Doc, please, what's the name of the test to check for the quality of the eggs? I've already mentioned all the tests. FSH, follicular stimulating hormone. Estradiol, a type of estrogen. AMH, anti-Mullerian hormone. So your AMH is actually checking the direct quality. Okay? So remember, FSH, estradiol, AMH. We can give you Clomid challenge. We can do follicular anthracount. So these are the things that can give us an idea of the likelihood. Okay? And you don't go to the lab and say, oh, I want to do this by myself. You don't do that. You go to a gynecologist. He will find the need. Every woman having infertility problem is actually advised to go for all these tests. It's one of the important tests you must do. Because guess what? If you don't have eggs and you're complaining up and down that you're not becoming pregnant, my sister, the earlier you understand that you don't have eggs, the better you can go home and you discuss with your partner for possibility of donor eggs. So picture yourself, my sister, you haven't bled for 12 months and you come to our clinic and you listen to me and I tell you that if you haven't bled for 12 months, it's possible you've gone into menopause. But your last menstrual bleeding was in 2019. And you are still showing up without knowing your reality, and you're not dealing with it, and you're still hoping against hopes, and you don't have a fertility specialist, and it's August. You're not in the right direction. It's never late to come back and retrace your steps and do the right things. Okay? Someone is asking, can you bring your donor? No, you cannot bring your donor. Donor is not just anybody. When we talk about donor is a young lady we've checked, we've assessed, no disease, no lifestyle problems, qualified. So it's not just anybody you go and you bring and the person will be a donor. No, there are criteria for using a donor. Your donor must match, and you and your donor must be in synchrony. So what do I mean by being in synchrony? We have to check your cycle. We have to check the donor cycle. We have to make sure that the drugs you are giving to the donor is going to work. We have to make sure that when we give the donor the drugs, the donor is going to produce enough eggs. We have to make sure that your own body is ready. The body of the recipient, who is the woman that will receive the egg, must be ready. So when we are talking about donor, there are so many investigations we are going to run on the donor, we are going to run on you before we even proceed. Now, medically and ethically, you don't gain anything by knowing who the donor is. You're going to cause yourself a lot of psychological and emotional trauma, and you don't need that. What you need to be a mother is just a heart of love. If you are trying to figure out so many things in life, you might end your life without being a mother. Look, I'm keeping it real. You might like it or you might not like it, but I'm telling you your truth. Refuse to be among the women that will end their life because of their unbelief, because of their attitude, because of their practices, because they are just standing in their own place and they have refused to open their mind. You spend your life alone in misery. You can be a mother. Okay? All right, let's continue, guys. Please ask all your questions. Ask all your questions. Do we have a provider in Lagos? Yes. Matter of fact, as of this moment, our most reliable provider is in Lagos. Amazing guy. He was around last month for the masterclass. Amazing guy, doing amazing things in Lagos. So if you're in Lagos or the access, even if you're not in Lagos, if you want to get help, please come in and we can help you. Okay? Someone asking about 9 years. If you're talking about not seeing your period for 9 years, my sister, you've gone into menopause. Can you be a mother? Yes. What do you need? Donor eggs without wasting time. That's what you need. All right. Okay. What could be the cause of noisy stomach in a woman? And can it cause infertility? There are so many things that happen in your belly. So what you guys call belly is actually the abdomen. That's where all your important organs are. Your heart, your lungs, your kidney, your spleen, your intestines, every single thing in there. So if it's making noise, it's possible it's gas, it's possible it's fecal material, it's possible it can be anything. So what do you need to do? You see a doctor. Can it affect your fertility? Yes. How do we know? Until you go. So the life of a woman is not guesswork. So if you are having this noisy stomach, we want to know why. And how can we know why? By going to the doctor. So what you should be making arrangements for is to go to the doctor. My people, you are not going to be fertile for the rest of your life. You need to understand that time is of essence. So when you have a problem 10 years ago, and you haven't seen a gynecologist, and you're hoping against hope, my sister, 10 years is a long time in the life of a woman. If you are 30 years when you started having problems, if you are now 40, the possibility that you might have gone into menopause at 40 is high. And my sister, when you go into menopause, you no longer have eggs. I want you to understand this because, some people don't understand this. Look, what you have is what you will use. The eggs you have here, you will be losing them every month through ovulation. When you lose them, you can't replace them. When they are finished, you no longer have eggs. It's just like someone that got money in the bank. You have savings in the bank. If you have 50,000 naira in the bank, if you keep going every month to remove 10,000 naira without putting back, will you be having money? No. By the end of the 5th month, the money is gone. You have zero balance. This is what happens to you, my sister. This is your bank. The more you are removing, the more they are going. You don't replace them. You do not replace your eggs. We are not like men. Men produce millions of sperm. But women, when you have your bleeding every month and it's an ovulatory bleeding, you have lost your eggs. If those eggs are fertilized, you will be pregnant. But if they are not fertilized, you've lost them. You can't get them back. This is reality. This is no joke. Okay, let's continue, guys. Ask your questions. If you don't understand your ovarian reserve test after this class, then I don't know how else to deliver this class. I took time to make it very, very simple. And I'm also going to share my transcript so you will understand it better. Every singular woman having problems becoming pregnant must know their ovarian reserve test. Okay? All right. What are the chances for women with premenopausal syndrome? What do you mean by that? Your question is not complete. Now remember, when you are premenopausal, it means you are warming up to go into menopause. Some women can be pre, some women can be peri. So pre means probably your menopause is getting ready to go by 45 and you are about 42, 43, 44. So if you're going to go into menopause at age 45, from 40 to 45 is called pre-menopause. If you are already in menopause and it started this year, you are now what? Peri. Peri means about. Pre means way ahead on time. If you have already gone into menopause in 2019, right now you are post-menopause. There are some signs that might likely tell you you are getting ready for menopause. Number one, when we check your hormones, your estrogen level is low, your FSH level is high, your AMH is low, you are having dry vagina, you are having hot flushes, you are having low libido, you haven't bled for 12 months. These are the likelihood you have gone into menopause. Can a woman in menopause still get pregnant? Yes, my sister. What will she need? Donor egg. Why? She doesn't have eggs again. There is no money in her bank again. The money is zero. So if you go to your bank and you have 0 naira, are you going to do magic? No. What do you need? Someone to put money there. Maybe your salary will come in or someone will give you money. That's how you can have money in the bank. This is what happens when your eggs are done, when your eggs are finished. It means there is no money in your bank account. You are not having a lot. So for you to get a lot, someone needs to give you money. This is what happens when you use donor eggs. My people, let me say categorically open. If you're hearing my voice, there is absolutely nothing wrong in using donor eggs. There is absolutely nothing wrong in using donor sperm. There is absolutely nothing wrong in going for IVF. There is absolutely nothing wrong in going for IUI, in going for adoption, in going for surrogacy. They are all legally powerful, right way of starting your family. You can actually combine all of them if you have the resources. So I've seen families that have their baby naturally, went for IUI, went for IVF, went for surrogacy, and adopted on top. If God blessed you with a lot of resources and you know you want to have 20 kids, why not? But you have to do something. Okay? All right. Let's continue. Please ask all your questions right now, and I'm going to provide you feedbacks. Your ovaries could not be seen for advantage because it's hypertrophy. Can you still have a child? If your ovaries are not there, my sister, then you might likely have what we call congenital absence of your ovaries. You must have your ovaries. So we need to have further investigations, okay? If they couldn't see your ovaries, then we have a problem. What happened to them? Because you have to have your ovaries. When we see your ovaries, then we begin to look into your ovaries. So that if we can't see your ovaries, then we have a problem. Can you still become a mother? Yes. What do you need? Donor egg. So you can still have a child if you don't have any eggs or if you don't have ovaries. The only thing you need to do is to go for donor eggs. So long as the cover of your womb, the endometrium, and other factors that will favor pregnancy is okay, you can still become a mother. Okay. How many times can a woman do surgery on fibroid? Is there any drug that can produce eggs? Let me tell you what you need to know. The criteria for going for fibroid surgery is dependent on the size of the fibroid, the location of the fibroid, and the symptoms. So size, location, and symptoms. If your fibroid is inside your womb, two types, intramural and submucosal, they are bigger than 6 cm. You are having hell, pain all the way. You are a candidate for myomectomy. Myomectomy is the surgical removal of that fibroid. That fibroid can delay your ability to conceive. That fibroid might likely predispose you to miscarriage because the fibroid is in the place your baby is supposed to be developing. Now, this is what happens. Fibroids can have different sizes when you go in there. So in some women, they might have very big fibroid and they can go for fibroid surgery. Then subsequently, after they've removed those fibroids, the little ones that came up, either the new ones or the ones that were not removed, can grow big again. So unfortunately, some women might have myomectomy more than twice. Okay, so here's the deal. The reason why we go for fibroid removal is to improve your chance. So when you're going for myomectomy, you're doing what we call fertility sparing myomectomy. So when you have big fibroid, occluding the place that your baby should be developing, stopping you from achieving your objectives, when you remove that fibroid, you're increasing your possibility of becoming pregnant. Now, the frequency of the myomectomy is dependent on what your fertility especially feels like and your age. So there are a couple of other factors we need to factor together. Now, your second question said something about producing eggs. Now, we have some drugs we call ovulation induction eggs, but you have to have the eggs. So some women can have eggs, but for some reasons, they are not bringing out those eggs. That's when we can now begin to talk about ovulation induction drugs. We are going to talk about all these in the boot camp. So all questions related to ovulation, channel it for our boot camp, okay? All right. Please keep asking your questions, okay? I still have time. If you have questions, please ask. I'll provide you feedbacks. If you're just coming in, we were talking about ovarian reserve test. And we mentioned a couple of important tests you can use to know your ability of still becoming pregnant, depending on your age. We mentioned FSH. We mentioned estradiol. We mentioned AMH. We mentioned gonadotropin challenge. We mentioned clomid challenge. And we mentioned intrafollicular count. These are the tests we can use to check the quality and the quantity of your eggs, which will determine if you're going to be a mother or not. Now, if you live in any of these areas I'm going to mention, you can be referred. So if you're in Abuja, Asaba, Awka, Benue, Calabar, Enugu, Jos, Kano, Kogi, Lagos, Nnewi, Osun, Owerri, and Port Harcourt, we can refer you to our certified, verified providers if you live in any of the locations I mentioned. Okay? Please keep asking questions. Admin, if you come across any question I haven't provided feedbacks on, please put it on the screen and I can provide feedbacks. Can ovulation be whitish, not slippery, also not in mucus where you saw? So my people, all questions about ovulation should be channeled towards the bootcamp. Let's not open a package we're gonna open and everybody's gonna enjoy. So what you can do, Chiamaka, is to follow admin and register for the bootcamp. But right now, please keep asking your questions. I will be providing you feedbacks in real time. If your questions are not answered yet, you can ask again. We don't have a provider in Akwa Ibom, but we have a provider in Calabar. We have a provider in Port Harcourt. If the provider is not in your location, you can go to the neighboring state. There are people that travel from America, from UK, from Canada, from Australia to go to Nigeria. So if you have to travel from Enugu to Abuja, come on. The end result is the most important thing. You're going to have your family, you're going to have your family. So distance shouldn't be a problem. Distance is the biggest enemy to so many couples. There are so many people that don't have babies today because the partner is not in your location, because you're supposed to be making love for 8 hours. So some women don't even have infertility. The only problem they have is that their partner is not making love to them. That's a fact. Okay. If you still have questions, please put your questions on the screen so I can provide you feedbacks and we can all go and enjoy the rest of the Sunday. Okay, let's see. What could cause a woman not to conceive after trying for about 9 months? Now, this is what we need to know. How old are you? If you are 35 years and below, you haven't graduated. You have to continue making love with your partner 48 hourly, excluding the days you're not bleeding, for 12 months. Infertility is described as the inability to have a baby after 12 months. So in your own case, my sister, if you are 30 and you're reporting of your inability at 9 months, it's too early. Take your pallet, go home and continue making love with your partner 48 hourly. And when you're making love, love your love making. Don't just lie down there and be thinking of babies. That's a fact. When you love your love making, you won't even know when you become pregnant. So if you're younger than 35, continue trying at the 13th month, then you can begin to escalate. Now you've already had your HSG result. It's showing that your tube is open, which is good. You don't have fibroid, which is good. Follicular monitoring shows successful ovulation, which are all good. So sometimes everything will be good between you and your partner and you're still not able to have a baby. It's called infertility of unknown origin. But you've mentioned all this, and I didn't see you mention anything about the man. We also want to look at the man. So there are so many other tests. We need to look at the man, not just the woman. But my sister, the important factor I need to know is your age. If you are 40 and you're presenting with 9 months, I'm worried. I'm thinking of what we can do immediately. But if you are 30 and it's 9 months, you have extra 3 months. So by December, if you're not pregnant, then we can begin to have conversations, okay? All right, let's continue, guys. Okay. You're replying, you've sent mails and chat, but no response. It's possible you didn't send the email to the right channel. Okay? Now, understand this. I reside in America. You might be in Nigeria. So when you're sending your mail, I might be sleeping. I might be at work. So it's always good to wait for 24 hours. But you have to do the right thing. So if you subscribe, make sure you send email correctly. So many people are not getting our email correct. You're not putting the S in Snowspirations. So the problem is you, not us. When you send us email, admin is going to process you. Admin is going to send you the intake form. Once you send the intake form to my WhatsApp, within 24 hours, you're going to get a response. So tell your friend to go back and check that email and make sure they send it appropriately. Okay? Now keep asking your questions. I have 10 more minutes to go. So ask your questions. Okay, let's see. Your sister is 23 years. She's ready to be your donor. We donor IVF is true. My sister, let me tell you what you need to do. And I recognize you, gift. You see, I think since 2 years you've been showing up in the clinic. You've been asking the same questions over and over again. Now, this is what you need to do. I've already given you your best option. Okay? Now, if you have your sister and you guys have common understanding and you are going to go that route, then take your sister, take yourself, go with your fertility specialist, then have that conversation. But I'm telling you personally that that's not the best option. So your decision and your choice is strictly based on what you want to do. So if your 23-year-old sister understands the criteria, understands what donation of egg is all about, then take your sister and yourself and your partner, go to the IVF provider, have that conversation. If they feel it's okay, then you roll with them. Okay? Please, what does it mean when someone has sickle cell trait? Very important question. I love this. Now, remember, when we talk about sickle cell disease, we are looking at the genotype. So there are different combinations of genotype you can have. You can have AA, you can have AS, you can have AC, then you can begin to have different combinations, okay? Now, my genotype is AC. Now, when you have any other genotype apart from A, that particular combination is a trait. So when you have AS, it means you have sickle cell trait. It's a trait. It doesn't mean you have the disease. It means you have the sickle cell gene in you. You have one normal hemoglobin, which is the stuff that carries your genotype. You have the A, which is normal. But you have the abnormal one, which is the S. There is a trait. You are a carrier. You don't have sickle cell disease. Now, the same thing is applicable to C. C is also an abnormal hemoglobin, which is what I have. Okay? Now, the problem is, when you are AS and you don't marry someone that is AA, or you don't have a relationship with someone that is AA, if you are AS and your partner is AS, you have about 25% chance of every pregnancy to produce a child that will combine your S, combine your partner's S, and you guys will have sickle cell child. The same thing is applicable to C. Like I'm AC, my wife is AA. If my wife were to be AS or SS, my C can combine with the S or can combine with the C, and we can produce a child that will have sickle cell problem. So the determining factor is the number of A you have. So if you are AA, say go be. But if you are AS or AC or SS or CC or SC, then you must marry someone that is AA so you can neutralize that possibility of the 25% possibility of having a sickle cell child. So very important question. So all the people that have AS, they have sickle cell trait. They are sickle cell carrier. They don't have sickle cell disease. Is it clear? Very important question. This is a conversation you must have with your partner before you even begin to make love. There are so many important things you have to ask when you are dating. The reason is because once you are pregnant, water has passed Gario. Water has gone under the bridge. Because this is not the era of removing your baby. So if you are making love now and you haven't had the blood group, the genotype conversation with your partner, you better go home and you start having that conversation today. It's very, very important. There is absolutely nothing your religion has to do with it. It's your reality. You cannot willingly and intentionally bring forth babies into this world, knowing fully well that you're not supposed to be with your partner. We can forgive our parents. Like, you know, all those are Abanje and Abiku in, okay, people that come back, reincarnation and all those stuff. They were all people that had hemoglobin problems. There was no connection with Abanje. Like a baby would be dying and be coming and be going. Our parents didn't have what we have today. So, but we have the knowledge. So what you need to do, before you guys will begin to drink love potion and doc, I love you so much, I can't do without him and all those stuff. You better go and check your hemoglobin, your genotype, your blood group, and a couple of other important things. It's very, very important too. Very important. All right. Do we have any other new question? Let's see. Okay, let's see. Your menstruation is always scanty from when you were 13 years. Now you're 33, although you're single. Remember, my sister, in as much as we want you to be having your menses, the change in consistency can tell us a lot. But we are more interested in the content, what's happening on the inside. Now, this happened at your 13 years. Now you're 33, 20 years in between. Now, the question is, what is your status? You're single. So you're even attending this particular clinic is an advantage to you. So at your 33, if you have a boyfriend or if you have someone you're discussing about marriage with, then you need to start listening to what we've been talking about. Discuss the genotype, discuss everything. Then if you finally, by the grace of God, you're going to find your partner at 33. So when you find your partner, by the grace of God this year, you'll continue making love 48 hourly for 12 months. Okay, 12 months. So by the time you become 34 years, if you don't have a baby, then you begin to look for help from a fertility specialist. Okay, so that's what I will tell you. All right, guys, I need everybody in attendance to get all their feedbacks. I don't want anybody going back and not understanding your ovarian reserve test. You can be a mother, you can be a father, but your ability to defeat infertility is based on your knowledge. It's based on what you were able to accept from what I've been preaching, from what I've been explaining for the past 1 hour. I took time to make it simple. Your ability to be a mother in 2022 is dependent on how you synthesize and how you gulp and how you assimilate and how you practice today. Today can change your ability to become a mother, because all your kids, all your boys, all your girls, all your twins, they are in here. You have them. Okay? All right, let's see. Why is menstruation not regular after having a baby and not breastfeeding? So every single year you add an age, your menses can change. So as you're getting older, the possibility of having an irregular period will be there. Now, when you have a baby changes everything. There are women that when they have their babies, their cycle will be all over the place. Some people will not even see their cycle until about 1 month or 3 months or 1 year or 6 months, especially if you're doing exclusive breastfeeding. Now, we are not much bothered about whether your period is coming or not. What we are bothered about is your ovulation index. Some women that are not bleeding can still be ovulating. So the fact you're giving your baby breast milk and doing all those stuff, but you're making love with your partner, you can become pregnant. Okay? All right. Can narrow cervix be dilated? Cervical stenosis. Cervical stenosis on its own is a condition we need to deal with. So you need to go for some procedures, because when you have cervical stenosis, what happens? Let me show you. When you have cervical stenosis, you see the cervix, they are gummed together. When they are gummed together, the sperm cannot come in. So we need to open it up. So you need to go for a procedure. We need to open it up and keep it open, patent, so that the sperm can come in. If the sperm cannot come in, you cannot become pregnant. Okay, so for cervical stenosis, you need to go and see a gynecologist and undergo the procedure to see if we can help you. If your questions are not answered, please ask again. The time you use in complaining is the time you can use to copy and paste. I've been hanging around for the past 1 hour providing feedbacks. So we don't complain in our group. You can ask your questions again, and I can provide you feedbacks. Okay, let me go up. And please don't share your medical information open. Like this lady is sharing her FSH and her AMH level. This is not the right way to do this. Go and subscribe. When you subscribe, I'm going to request all the report, then I will give you the right answers. When you share your medical information openly, you're putting your marriage, you're putting your relationship in danger. So don't do that to yourself, okay? Okay, let's see. You've given birth before, but you lost your baby after CS. That was in 2013. After you lost your baby, you had 4 miscarriages. The last one was in 2016. Since then, pregnancy stopped happening. Now, my sister, from 2013 to 2022, a lot of years. So the question is, are you still dwelling in the past? Have you done something different? You've had 4 miscarriages. So you need to see a high-risk pregnancy specialist. For a start, you can become a mother. You can overcome infertility, but you need to deal with your reality. You see, the problem is most times you dwell on the emotions. We dwell on what happened. This is 2013. We keep referencing them. We keep referencing the 4 miscarriages. The question is, what are we going to do differently? We need to pinpoint what's leading to those miscarriages. So you are having what we call recurrent miscarriages together with secondary infertility. So there are 2 important doctors you need: fertility specialist and high risk. Your pregnancy must be planned from day 1. Once you are pregnant, we begin to monitor you. We begin to run all the important investigations. And please, from 2013 to 2022, that's a lot of years. So you also have to be receptive to assisted reproductive technique. So you might be a candidate for IVF. This is what I will tell you. Okay. What advice can you give to married couples on long-distance relationship? What else can I tell you? Work on being together. Work on being together. Distance is the biggest enemy in so many relationships. So let me give you an example. You are 45, and finally, by the grace of God, your partner who is in America came to marry you at 45. Probably he doesn't have enough money to do societal wedding. Then your people are pushing you. Oh, they want to do this wedding in Abuja. They want to do white wedding. They want to do traditional wedding. Let me give you your frank truth, what you need to do. If you are 45 and your partner ventures into Nigeria, there are so many things you guys can do. You guys will begin immediately to make love 48 hours. While you're planning your traditional and your white wedding, look, I'm keeping it real. Look, I'm telling you the truth. Because if your partner goes back to America and probably he doesn't have papers, or maybe there is restriction, there is lockdown, and he cannot come back in next 10 years, in next 5 years or 2 years, by the time your partner is coming back, you might have gone into menopause. This is a fact. So besides making love 48 hourly, what both of you will do is to go and consult a fertility specialist. We will collect his sperm and check the seminal fluid and check for motility, check for appearance, check for morphology, check for the count. If your partner has good sperm, before he goes back, we can collect enough of his sperm and store in the sperm bank. He can go back to America. He can spend 10 years in America. The sperm in the bank we can use to start your family through the process of IVF. It has happened. This is your best. So you don't want a situation, so many of you, your partner might not have seen you for the last 10 years. I'm giving you practical tips. So your partner's sperm can be stored for use in subsequent IVFs, even when he's not there physically. The person that must be on ground is the woman for IVF. What we need from the man is the sperm, and we can store it. Just like we can store your eggs, just like we can store your embryo. Okay? All right, guys, my time is up. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. And I will see you guys next Sunday for the boot camp. If you are not attending, but you know you need to attend, please attend. Please register. Attending this event can change your family. It has happened before. We've had so many testimonies. People are sending their testimonies globally. This group is not a Nigerian group. The only advantage we have as Nigerians is because I'm a Nigerian. That's the only advantage. But our group is in Asia, our group is in Europe, our group is in America, our group is in Australia. So make use of the advantage you have. But do something today. Thank you for coming. Can we all appreciate our admin for giving us an amazing, coordination? Thank you so much, Kenneth. Thank you so much, Chi. Thank you so much, Onyinye, Ebenezer, and Dr. Ndiche. You guys rock. Now, I want you to speak into your future. I want you to call forth your babies as if they are, because they are already are. I don't know if the English is correct, but guess what? I want you to exercise your faith right now. I want you to call forth your babies, your twins, your triplets, your quadruplets. I want you to project them in your 2022. I want you to begin to see their room. I want you to begin to envisage yourself staying up late night, breastfeeding them. I want you to call their name in this gathering right now. So before we go, can you call forth your babies? Now, faith in this group is the evidence of the babies that will be crying and will be depriving you of your sleep. Faith is the substance of your twins, of your triplets, of your quadruplets, which must happen. This is how we describe faith. And I see you dancing in this group if you do the right things. So before we go, submit the names of your babies. We pray over them. We give it to God. And we believe that God will do it. The power of becoming a mother is solely resident on letting go and letting God. When you call the name of God alone and you are not playing and you are not practicing, you are using the name of God in vain. But when you pray to God, when you petition God, when you remind God, and you go to work and you begin to do your own part, God is able to multiply your work. God has done it. God can change your situation suddenly. People that are mocking you will be attending your party. People that call you names will come and say that sorry. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But you need to be in the arena of blessing. You need to exercise your faith practically. We are peace-loving people. We are loving people. We love people. We care for people. And my biggest prayer, which I say every day for each and every one of you, including the people that don't appreciate, there are so many of you that have a heart of charcoal. That's a fact. But if you show up in this gathering and you clap for women that succeed, and you see babies out there and you love them, and you believe you can do the same, nothing can separate you from the love of God. Absolutely nothing. Because when God gave you your breast, when God gave you your womb, God gave you your breast for your babies. God gave you your womb for your babies. God doesn't make mistakes. So stop calling the name of God in vain. When you call his name, you go back to the neck of woods. You move from the guest room. You move into your room. You begin to do your own part. That's what you need to do. So call the names of your babies. And together we agree on them. And you can go and sleep. Some of you are not sleeping. Some of you are so stressing. You're so distressed. You're in a bad place. The days you're quarreling are the days you're supposed to be pregnant. Some of you believe the wrong things. Some of you go to church. Some of you quote the Bible wrongly. Some of you don't just understand the power that God has already given you because you are leaning on your understanding. And you don't want to be told the truth. Anytime we tell you the truth, you flip. But I'm a truth sayer, and God knows my mind. So thank you for coming. We appreciate you. And all the names of all the babies that God will give our group must be permanent, must be complete. All our babies are going to be intact. All our twins are going to be intact. All our triplets are going to be intact. All our quadruplets are going to be intact. We are going to celebrate our twins. We are going to celebrate our triplets. We are going to celebrate our quadruplets. The mother is going to be alive. The babies are going to be alive. The fathers are going to be alive. 2022 is going to be a year of dancing in our group. Be unto you according to the names of the babies you've mentioned this afternoon, and so be it. God is in this place. Thank you for coming. I love you guys. If you have free time, join me by 3 p.m. I have another important presentation in my YouTube. We are going to talk about BMI and your fertility. Your BMI stands for body mass index. So your height and your weight can predict if you're going to become pregnant. So join me for that presentation by 3 p.m. my time. I think 3 p.m. should be your 8 p.m. Okay? God bless you and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye for now. God bless.